Oh, come on, we all knew it was going to be dumpster water. Joker Folie Deux is a sequel to the 2019 hit film Joker. Since I'm talking about a sequel, I might as well talk about my feelings and thoughts about its predecessor first. I actually really like the first Joker movie. It's a great character study, not to mention a great standalone flick that doesn't feel the need to tie into other storylines in the DCEU. Not that there were any good ones to begin with. The acting in the movie is absolutely outstanding. I love the cinematography, the music is stellar, and the pacing wasn't that bad, even though it clocked in at 2 hours.
2 hours!
But I was so invested in the character of Arthur Fleck that it didn't even matter, and the ending was so ambiguous that it left you wondering, did any of this even happen? It was such a good movie. And even though there were some dumbasses that were trying to make it seem like this movie was encouraging people to be violent psychopaths or some dumb shit like that, the movie still stands strong on its own. So much so that it didn't need to have any sequels. And I thought we all agreed as a society that this should be its own standalone thing. Even Todd Phillips agreed that this should be a standalone movie. But hey, you know the drill. When something makes a shit ton of money, you gotta capitalize on it while you still can.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-chingery. Money, oh money, how I love thee. Cha-ching, cha-chong, cha-changaroo. From pennies to dollars, any amount will do.
So we got the news back then that there would be another Joker movie in the works. And now we have Joker Folie à Deux. And I want to let you know right now, I had absolutely no interest in watching this one. While a lot of people were anxious but still had hope that this sequel would be good, I wanted to steer clear of this movie at all costs. But after watching a ton of people talking about it, and the money hungry side of me is like, hey, you can make some views off of this, I went to go watch it, and now I'm gonna talk about it.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize
a pseudo musical to a certain extent.
Taking place 2 years after the first movie, Arthur is in Arkham State Hospital awaiting trial for his 5 murders. While he's there, he comes across another patient, Harleen Quinzel, someone who really looks up to Arthur. Well, more specifically, his Joker persona. And this, of course, sparks a romance between the two. How lovely.
Oh, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
Eventually, she leaves, so now Arthur is forced to fend for himself, which couldn't happen at a worse time because it's been said on the news that Arthur is going to face the death penalty. Then they go to the courthouse, and for the rest of the movie, they're just tackling the trial of Arthur Fleck with a bunch of recaps of the first movie. Then we go from the hospital to the courthouse to the hospital to the courthouse, and it just gets really tedious after a while.
I'm so fucking bored!
Anyway, I'm gonna spoil the ending because I have absolutely no respect for this movie. So if you don't want to hear it, skip to this time code. There's your warning. 3, 2, 1. Just when the jury declares Arthur guilty of his crimes, a car explosion goes off at the courthouse. He manages to escape thanks to 2 of his supporters. He goes to meet Harleen at the staircase from the first movie, but she doesn't want to be with him anymore because, as I said before, she liked the Joker persona, not him.
Damn.
He gets arrested by the cops, he goes back to the hospital, he gets stabbed by an inmate who cuts a smile into his face, and this has led many people to thinking that this person we've only seen a couple of glimpses of, this is Heath Ledger's Joker.
The guy who stabbed him, this random fucking psychopath, is now cutting his face in the shape of a smile. And it's, I believe, alluding to Heath Ledger's Joker, who had the scars in the shape of a smile.
That's so fucking stupid.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. I'm not even going to humor that idea. And then the movie cuts to black.
Fuck's sake. Anyway, I digress.
Okay, let's not bully this movie too hard since everybody's doing that job for me. Let's play nice. I will say that Joaquin Phoenix and surprisingly Lady Gaga do a pretty great job as Joker and Harleen. The cinematography in this movie still looks pretty good. The music is still strong. I liked some of the sets that were used when the characters broke out into song. I'm not a fan of the musical numbers, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Lady Gaga is a good singer, and Joaquin Phoenix is a good dancer.
Oh, and you're a regular Rhodes Scholar. Where was it you graduated from again? Hmm? The University of Deux?
I snickered at one line in this movie, and it was when Harleen was questioned by the press, and one of the people said, "What does that even mean?" when she said that Arthur and her are going to build a mountain together. Oh my god. It was nice to see some old faces from the previous movie, Gary and Sophie specifically. I liked some of the neat, subtle callbacks to the previous movie. I liked the little cartoon at the start, although I don't like its purpose, which is to basically introduce the idea of, don't you see, Arthur and the Joker are two separate people.
This fucking sucks.
But if there's one concept that I think is pretty interesting, because the people on Twitter keep lecturing me about it, it's the idea of Arthur not being able to live up to the Joker persona anymore. Throughout the movie, he struggles to live up to this image that has been placed on him all those years ago. An image that everyone expected him to live by. People like his fans and even Harleen herself. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it from a different perspective, I will agree that is pretty interesting. I'll give you Joker Part 2 Defenders that. But from my perspective, that just basically makes the first movie even more pointless and renders all that character development and hard work to be completely null and void. But hey, it's okay to retcon the previous movie as long as it's for an awesome theme, right? God.
I hate this planet!
And that's about it. Now let's get into the cons because I really want to rip this piece of shit apart.
I'm just trying to make him smile.
Well, it's not funny, is it?
Is this guy supposed to be Alfred?
The worst part about this movie is the fucking songs. I cannot stand the musical numbers in this movie. Todd, Joaquin, I don't know why you thought turning this into a musical was a good idea. And usually I'm not a big fan of musicals in general because it's kind of annoying when these characters just break out into song, even if it's from movies I really like. But this one is the worst offender. Every time you think they're done with a musical number, it just pops up one after another. There are 16 fucking songs in this movie, and it's not just from Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. You get other people singing in the background too.
But you gotta have three.
Stop singing!
It just feels like they're there to fill out the runtime because they knew they couldn't just run with this trial of Arthur Fleck for like the entire 2 hours. And even though there are songs that feel like they're trying to delve into Arthur's psyche, those are few and far between. And the grand majority of the songs are just Lady Gaga showing off her singing skills, which she does a good job of doing, I will admit. Another big issue with this movie is that it seems to have a lot of bitterness and resentment towards its predecessor. It just shits all over the original, especially when it comes to Arthur. Remember how Arthur transformed into the Joker in the original? Well, guess what? He has an identity crisis throughout this movie, constantly flipping back and forth between being Arthur and the Joker, as if it's a split personality disorder that even his lawyers are trying to use as a defense for his actions, which is honestly pretty shitty.
This is shit.
Because the whole reason why people liked the first movie was to see the transformation, seeing Arthur go through a lot of shit, and then eventually snapping and turning into the Joker. It just seems like they did this to address the controversies and criticisms that the first Joker movie had. And also, Todd Phillips isn't really proud of the Joker's impact and legacy after all these years. And it really sucks because people really did like that character study, and now it's ultimately obliterated. They really fucked fucked Arthur both metaphorically and literally. Because seriously, what the fuck was up with that rape scene? Why did you feel the need to have it in this movie? I mean, granted they don't show much, but the implications are very clear.
No!
And since we're talking about characters, Harleen is really underutilized in this movie. She doesn't really add much, only to be Joker's manipulative supporter until Arthur renounces his Joker persona. Then she fucks off to maybe get a spin-off movie someday. Which is weird because Todd Phillips has openly stated that he doesn't want to do another Joker movie, so I don't know what they're doing here. Maybe they're trying to use this as a launching pad to maybe focus on Harleen in the future, and that just makes this movie even more fucking detestable. They assassinated Arthur, destroyed all of his character growth just to redo it again, and also to throw Harleen in here so they can use this movie as a launching pad so she can get her own movie someday. And that really makes me angry.
The fires of hell hath no fury like mine.
And the biggest problem with this movie is that nothing happens for the grand majority of it. It's all just recapping what happened in the last movie, shitting on Arthur for what he did, Arthur flipping back and forth between the Joker persona and himself, musical number after musical number, you're stuck in the courthouse, you go back to the hospital, you're back at the courthouse again, people are fucking singing everywhere at the hospital, you're back at the courthouse blows up, you go to the stairs, you're back at the hospital again, and then you
I don't like that.
There is no gradual buildup in this movie. It just stays stagnant throughout most of its runtime, and the first Joker movie simply wasn't like this. Things happened, there were buildups, and it had a satisfying payoff at the end. This one doesn't have that. And that fucking ending, man. Remember how I told you that they assassinated Arthur in this movie? Well, guess what? To continue the assassination, they killed him off at the end. So now the torch can finally be passed on to Harleen and that fake-ass Joker who killed him. Fuck you. And I know this Joker is not the true Joker, but that still doesn't make this any less disrespectful and offensive. They took a character that was so brilliantly built up in the original, and they broke him down for the sake of just basically going through the same motions as the original, having him go through the same character arc, except making him even more pathetic and just embarrassing to watch, and it is nothing short of pathetic and disrespectful. That's it. I'm done. I want to be done with this. I'm finished. I've said what I have to say.
Good night. And always remember, that's...
I had little to no hope for this movie when it was announced all those years ago. When the trailers were released, I didn't even bother watching them because, as I said before, I was not interested in the movie. But after watching the movie myself, it confirmed my suspicions that this was a giant waste of time. Folie, fuck it. Joker 2 is a shitty sequel.
Saw it coming.
It completely disrespects the original movie in every single way, and even for the things it gets right, it's not in service of anything meaningful. It's in service of a shitty, stagnant story. Now, I know some people will say that this isn't the worst movie of the year because Borderlands exists, but I never watched that movie and I don't plan to, because I'm not even that attached to Borderlands as a franchise, but I actually did care for the first Joker movie, so as a result, this movie gets more shit from me than that movie does. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this colossal piece of fucking shit. If you guys have your own personal feelings or opinions about the movie, tell me in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later.